What's going on YouTube? TeamSC back online here with another video for you guys today. Now I know I haven't been posting as much as I usually have been as of late, but I've been pretty busy studying to take the GRE, focusing on going back to grad school. Also been working, trying to pay off some bills, and in the process of moving into a new residence. So been a little bit on the busy side, but I figured I'd go ahead and cast one of these games. This one was played probably a couple weeks ago. I saved it as good, so I'm assuming it's good. I don't really remember what happens, but let's get started. So today we have a 3v3 match. It is me, TeamSC, playing as the Yellow Terran, spawning on I already forgot what this map was called. I think Doorless Hills. So this map's a little interesting because you do have two teammates, mine being Yitmu, the Protoss, and the Kuzi, the other Protoss player, and we are up against SSAMDAK, don't know how to even say that, playing as Zerg, and Temp Tranquil playing as the Teal Terran, and also P. Roxham Aster playing as the Blue Zerg. Now all these players have very obscure names, so I'm just going to refer to them as the enemy. But anyways, this map is a little strange because you do have two allies who do spawn at the same side of the map, share one conjoined ramp, and then two relatively easy expansions to obtain. But your third ally is actually way down here, decent amount of walking distance, all the way down here and kind of on your own side. So here I am, I'm making sure I get a tight wall up and get some early units, because it is very common to get rushed, especially if you're the lone spawn. But the benefits to this base, if you don't get rushed, you do have your second expansion and access to a relatively safe gold, which is kind of out of the way to hit, versus this base over here. Your thirds are definitely a little bit harder to secure. There are 3 watchtowers in the middle of the map, and they will give you pretty much vision of everything moving besides like a dropship like here way in the corner. So it's definitely always a good idea to get these watchtowers, especially if you play Terran, get a Reaper up there early, break the rocks, put a Zergling up there. They will benefit you in the long run. But anyways, without further ado, I am opening up with Reactor Marines, going to get some early units just to defend in case they try to rush me, going straight up to Factory Tech and throwing down a quick command center. Just trying to get my X-Roll up. Meanwhile, my Protoss partner has also got a Cybercore coming quite late. He did go for a Nexus first, I believe. Got a cannon at the front, just playing it safe right now. And our other Protoss player is actually just going for 3 gates off the bat to get some early game units. All in all, I'd say a nice balance. We do have this Zerg player getting a relatively late expansion for Zerg. Usually Zerg gets expansions pretty quick. Well, we'll see. I don't think he got any early lings out just yet. We do have Temp Tranquil. He is already worried. I don't think he did much scouting because he's double bunkered down that ramp because he doesn't want anybody to be attacking him. We do have a little action over here. Overlord did come in to try to scout. Got some Marines here at the site. He does see my expansion, does see my factory, but he didn't really get a good eye of the wall. But this has me a little worried. I'm thinking they might be trying to rush me at some point. So I think I'm going to probably send some Marines down to try to snipe this Overlord because it's such low health, only 15. We do have Proxy Man getting his base up, going for some Banelings. Looks like he'll be going for some early units as well. Still no drones. Looks like a lot of Lings on the production tabs. Looks like they're going to be going for some early game aggression. Even Temp Tranquil going up to 2 barracks with the reactor and starting to tech up slowly. So far, nothing going on. Wall is coming down for the Protoss. Oh, Yitmu walling with 4 gateways. Definitely doesn't want any Lings running into his base. Also got the Mothership Core here to be ready for Photon Overcharge, and a couple of Adepts as well. Another expansion coming down for Kuzi finally. And all in all, not too much going on just yet. Did move the barracks over here to get some vision of that Overlord actually, and I think we did kill it. Let me see. Yeah, 1 kill. So we did get that Overlord killed. Little victories, like I said, but now we have some action. The Lings are moving out, going to be attacking my Protoss allies. Do on a move, unfortunately, which has him going straight for the cannon and the wall, and then does decide to micro and actually gets to squeeze through. Usually, if you're Protoss, it's a good idea to have a probe ready and try to complete that wall and put another pylon down. You can kill your pylon later, but it's definitely not worth it. See, now we're going to lose a whole bunch of workers. It's definitely more worth it to just throw an extra pylon down and destroy it later when you're ready to move out than have Lings running around your base wreaking havoc. But there's going to be a warping back at home. These units should be able to deal with these Lings just fine if they ever come in time. As you know, warping in, actually that's kind of a surprising long warping. I thought the warping was quicker around Nexus and gateways, but I'm guessing it's just quicker around gateways. So the warping there was actually kind of absurdly long. One of the new changes. Also some more Marines coming here. Photon Overcharge is coming down at the front, and these guys doing a very good job harassing our teammates. Not enough Marines yet to break this, but more Lings coming. Getting trapped in the funnel, which is very good for the Zealots, but the Swimlings are squeezing by. But we do have the Hellions coming in from the back. Going to be cutting off the reinforcements coming here to help my allies. Going to be microing, trying to cut the reinforcements off. Meanwhile, we do have Lings running into the main base, taking off probes after probes. Probes trying to streamline, run down to the safer expansion at the bottom and meet up with these Hellions. A couple Stalkers here, and do get the Hellions good amount of hit on the ramp. And we are going to manage to clean this up and hold off this early game aggression. Not too much. Kuzi did save most of his probes. They all went down to the backside, but we look at the units tab. Still pretty decent. Only 26 probes for him, but as far as the rest of the economy goes, we were still pretty solid. Still didn't take too much from that early game aggression. A couple Lings here trying to be annoying. Going from my side too. I do have a bunker here and a couple Hellions at home. Unfortunately, these two Hellions don't do that good DPS unless these Lings clump up. But I do manage to deal with this. Some more Lings coming. Just catch me right when I get the wall up, which is very unfortunate. But I do have a couple Hellions here going to be trying to micro, trying to deal with these Zerglings and just keep them from harassing. So all in all, not too good. A little bit early game action. Do have a whole bunch of Hellions going. I think I'm actually planning to tech into... I've been experimenting with some new stuff lately. I've been really liking Hellion Banshee Liberator. It's kind of like my twist on mech. It's like the mobile mech. Spend all your minerals on Hellions, and all your gas goes to Banshees and Liberators. And it's actually been working out pretty good for me. But we do have some Roaches coming. Unfortunately, Hellions are not the best at dealing with Roaches. I'm going to have to move these back. I don't have armor yet to morph them to Hellbats. Hellbats would be a little bit better at dealing with these Roaches, but I am going to lose a good amount of Hellions. Even more Hellions come from the reinforcement, but I'm going to have to run to this bunker. Keeping that wall up, going to have to bring these Marines out and just try to bring everything to crush these Roaches. We do have some SCVs coming to the front to tank, keep the Hellions alive, to do a little bit more damage. Marines have been coming out of the bunker to help deal with this as well. But unfortunately, Hellions are not that good against Roaches, but luckily my ally has come to help me. Stalkers are much better against Roaches versus my army composition right now. Stalkers going to be coming in and not really paying attention to the Roaches. They're just here hanging out like, hey, we'll deal with it later once all your Hellions are dead. Yeah, whatever. Alright, finally. So do deal with that little bit of harass. Meanwhile, we do have some harass here on the other side from Kuzi. Did bring the Warp Prism in, warped in a good amount of Stalkers, and they might actually get this hatch down. Hatch is about to go down and does snipe the hatch. This is definitely big. This is his only second base for Sasamdak, so he's down to one base, which is definitely not good for him. Needs to get that base up as quick as possible. But on the meanwhile, the Terran player is doing very good. He does have this gold base up. Bunkers for days everywhere, no enemy units in the bunkers though. But we do still have some more action. Just drop a Stalker off here trying to be annoying, but this Warp Prism is going to have to go back home. Gearing up, taking the gold base for myself. Meanwhile, Yitmu is also taking his gold base. And we do have a little bit of a macro game going on. Do have some little harasses going on both sides, but no one's really taking some severe damage except for Sasamdak over here, who's down to just his one base. And going off Ravagers. Guess he'd pulled a little bit of money, because usually you kind of want a little bit more gas and drones and workers before you start building, Ravagers. Ravagers aren't the cheapest units, at least 2 base, I would say. But it looks like Temptrical is going for some Marine tank compilation. He does have +1 on his tanks, and his Marines are 1-1 with stem and shields. On the other hand, Kuzi is here, unupgraded at the moment, going to be breaking these rocks, possibly taking his third base. And then we have a third base for Yitmu. I don't see his army. Looks like he's just focused on macroing, doesn't really... Oh, there it is, right there. He is +1 attack. Hellions for me, 0-0 still. Haven't gotten any upgrades yet, but did switch into the Sky Mech. So I do have some Liberators coming, 2 more Starports coming down, and finally getting the armories to begin the upgrades late. That is one thing, if you're going mech, you kind of have to decide army or upgrades. Usually it's better to put the upgrades off a little longer since mech units are really expensive. Liberators like 150 gas, 100 minerals, something like that. But anyways, you spend your gas quick, and you need at least 3 bases before you can start upgrading. But we're getting our third base down. Going to be setting up a perimeter with the Liberator. Do have some Widow Mines scattered here to see if we can catch any Zergling run-bys. Alright, do have the Terran moving out. He is going to be taking his 4th base. Very, very greedy man. Going to be breaking these destructible rocks, but we do have Kuzi here on the high ground. Going to be morphing in some Archons. Does not have Psystorm researched yet at this point, but Psystorm will definitely be beneficial dealing with the Bio-Army. Coming in, Archons are not done yet. One Archon does finish, gets evaporated almost instantly, but good force fields coming down. Going to be cutting that Terran army in half, but siege tanks are able to shoot past it, but there are a couple of mortals here. Immortals destroy tanks. And we do have the Roach Ravagers coming to reinforce, so he will not be able to hold us. Kuzi has got to have to back off, but we do have Yitmu coming in from the side, bringing in his Stalkers. Going to be fighting the Ravagers and tanks from the back. Does get out of the Corrosive Bile from the Ravagers. If you don't know, Ravagers shoot this little thing called Corrosive Bile, and if you stay there, he does area of effect damage for like 60 damage. There we go. And we do have the Stalkers moving in. Do blink on top of it, cleaning up most of these Ravagers, and we do have Kuzi even pushing in, destroying this Terran force. This base should go down. Looks like the Protoss army is victorious. Meanwhile, we do have a little roach being annoying here on the other side of the map. And big battle here. A lot of siege tanks, a lot of roaches, Ravagers, but we do have their third teammate coming in from the side with a big, huge force of roaches and Ravagers going to be cleaning up this Protoss army. This Protoss army is going to have to just get out of here. Trying to get his fifth base, super greedy on the Terran's part, not going to be denied by that one cannon. And we do have a huge force of Roach Ravager moving in on the Protoss. Couple cannons here, a couple of Colossus and Stalkers, but not enough to deal with this. Going to be having to micro those Colossus to the best of the ability, but there is a wall here, which is good, and I think he may even has the Colossus upgrade. Kuzi, on the other hand, not so lucky, going to be losing this base. Nothing here to defend it right now. And this base is going down. Probe's going to have to run away. We do have mass Liberators coming in for me right now, going to be setting up the perimeter. Ravagers are good against the Liberators, but in small numbers, so I think there's a bit too many Liberators to deal with these Ravagers right now. So it's kind of a thing, like a couple of Liberators, Ravagers beat them pretty easy, but when you have a bunch of Liberators, the Liberators will kill the Ravagers before they have a chance to even shoot off the Corrosive Bile, but is going to be finding opening where at all possible. Going to be going in trying to snipe this gold base and then get out of there. Going to have to reposition the Liberators, kind of setting up a little perimeter here. And this Zerg army is going to have to run away. Colossus and Liberators do getting some good snipes, chipping away at that huge Zerg ball. And this army is going to have to move out. Definitely did some damage for them. Protoss over here did get his base up, did get rid of that cannon. Kuzi trying to do a little harass and get rid of that Planetary Fortress. Does get it down to 600 HP, but the SVs do heal it, and Kuzi is going to have to back off. Meanwhile, we do have Yitmu trying to engage that Zerg force, but that Zerg force is 1-1. Yitmu is 2-1, so is winning on upgrades. Do have a couple Liberators here left behind to keep this kind of secure. Always a good idea with the Liberators to make sure you have them positioned to where they can cover the chokes. Especially on a map like this, because it's just a lot of narrow chokes after narrow chokes, and it's definitely beneficial to kind of help zone out the enemy. And right now we have a game, gentlemen. We have a game. I'm going to be throwing down a wall here with the Planetary Fortress to prevent any kind of weird Zerg run by us. Whenever you're playing mech, this is definitely a good thing to do, especially once you start pulling extra resources, because you're going to be low on your gas, but you're always going to have a good amount of extra minerals, so it's always good to invest in a couple extra command centers and, you know, just throwing up some walls, have a couple siege tanks or Liberators behind them, just to keep the enemy from running into your main and destroying all your production. So do you have Hellions, Liberators here, going to be assisting the ally. Should be tech switching into Speed Banshees, I believe. Meanwhile, Kuzi here, focusing on getting upgrades, needs to get his third base. He's been denied bases twice, or 3 times already, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So prom whatever, coming in from the backside, going to be engaging this army, but we do have the Protoss army here and a couple Liberators not paying attention. Need to set them into the whatever mode, AG mode, yeah. But he is going to be having to run home. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. Have a couple Liberators here with the range upgrade, and big battle coming in. Good amount of Banshees and Liberators coming in. Banshees don't have speed yet, but they do have Cloak, and unfortunately Banshees are going to be really good against this Roach Ravager army. But another counter push here. Red Zerg moving in with the Terran bio. Liberator's going to be setting up a little perimeter here, and a huge tank line on this side. Going to be keeping Kush from ever taking a base there. Needs to be requesting money from his allies, because he's all been 2-basing and doesn't really have much going on for him. Protoss army getting evaporated here by these roaches and tanks. Liberators are coming in to help reinforce and keep these Colossus alive. These Colossus need to run back. These are the saving grace right now, doing the splash damage, keeping them in the game. We do have a huge air force from me coming in. Speed Banshees and Liberators. Banshees are going Cloak, no scans coming down for them, and Banshees going to be setting up massive perimeter. And these Banshees do have speed now. Hyperflight Rotors makes them very, very quick, and all these tanks are going to go down. Nothing here to support them. Very bad move on Temptrical. Whatever. Teal Terran's part. A couple more armies coming in. See these Liberator walls. Nothing is going to be happening. That's exactly what I'm talking about. He did get a couple corrosive bile shots, but he lost way too much and didn't even destroy anything. Banshees here do amazing damage per second against ground. If we don't know, they do 14, 2 attacks, 28 at 0.89. That's, well, pretty much, to put into perspective, Marine is like 0.5, so a little slower than Marine, but a lot more damage. Now we do have him. Blue Zerg is going to be transitioning, getting some Corruptors out now to deal with all these Liberators. I do need to unliberate them and switch them to the other mode. Liberators aren't too bad at dealing with Corruptors, especially in masses because of the splash damage, so Liberators kind of cover themselves in that aspect. But we do have the Terran Bio moving in with the Liberators out of AG mode. Liberator's going to be fighting the Corruptors, and these Corruptors do go down. These Liberators are 2-2. His Corruptors have no upgrades, so it looked like that fight was a little one-sided. That was why. Meanwhile, Protoss here is 3-2. Bio for him is 3-3, so fairly even game. Couple tanks here for support, but not enough. Liberator's advantage is going to be moving in, and I think it is time to push, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. Oh, I'm actually expanding and taking this guy's base because he hasn't been able to take it. Got some Liberators here, keeping this on lockdown, and there's a planetary fortress with nothing absolutely mining on it. This place is locked down. I do have the Banshees Liberators moving in with the Colossus and the Stalkers. Going to be taking out this base. Going to be using the AG mode to keep things zoned out, even throwing some missile turrets down to help defend against any Corruptors that might come by. Protoss Force is moving in. Kuzi getting back in the game slowly, has a couple of Immortals and Archons here, and some Liberators for me can help kind of keep him assisted. Bio is going to be destroying that, but meanwhile the main army is moving down here. Does take out 2 bases. We'll be moving back to deal with this little threat. A couple of straggling Terran units trying to come in, but not enough to deal with this scary army. This is Banshees, Liberators, and Colossus. Oh, an Ultralisk switch for the Blue Zerg. Not the smartest switch at all. Ultralisk do not hit air. Actually, this is kind of the worst unit he could have got against Liberators and Banshees. Both of them destroy Ultralisk. Little Bio Force here, going to be dealt with some warpings back at home. And it does look like it is almost time for the main push. Ultralisk kind of poking forward. Doesn't need to poke. These Liberators do 95 damage a shot. That is like 5 or 6 shots to destroy an Ultralisk. But Corruptors moving in, going to be taking advantage of these AG mode Liberators. Meanwhile, we do have another half of the army down here. Going to be sniping out SCVs, but losing all these Liberators, not paying attention mainly to the Banshees at this point. Corruptors destroying all the Liberators. Not my best game, not paying attention. Protoss coming here to help, but he does see all those Ultralisks, and those Ultralisks are going to destroy this Protoss army. Does need the support from the Banshees and Liberators. These Liberators are going to be fighting against these Corruptors. Some missile turrets here doing some good damage, giving some support, but going to have to pull this army back. And this is a pretty big Zerg force. A lot of stuff coming in. Banshees need to come deal with these Ultralisks, and do need to also deal with these Corruptors as well. Can't go losing everything at this point. Going to be rallying up the army, getting everything together. Do you have a Raven? Can drop a point defense drone to help deal with all these Corruptors. And going to be moving in. Banshee's going to destroy these Ultralisks. Going to have the Liberators dealing with all the Corruptors. And unfortunately, this army for the Zerg does not hit air, and they have nothing to detect cloaked or invisible. Going to be splitting up the Banshees so they don't get hit by corrosive bile. And going to just destroy this Zerg army. Not enough anti-air or detection for them. Is going to cost him dearly, and he does lose all, if not most, of his army. And that is it. That does prompt Blue Zerg to leave the game, and they will GG out of here shortly. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed. See you next time.